All right, Frank, we're back for number 90 on your list. Number 90. That means we only have 11 more to go. Can you believe this? This has been going on for so long that I kind of thought it was never going to end, but now we're getting really close. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, number 90 is White Lightning. White Lightning is a 1973 action crime drama directed by Joseph Sargent. It stars Burt Reynolds, Ned Beatty, Jennifer Billingsley, Bo Hopkins, Matt Clark, Louise Latham, Diane Ladd, R.G. Armstrong, and more. After his brother is murdered at the hands of a corrupt local sheriff, a convict teams up with the feds to bring the sheriff to justice. Your thoughts on White Lightning are? Great flick. Seen it with Alan Dennis at the Tarantino Theater. 90% sure Edgar Wright mocked me laughing at the movie during the screening. Never will forget that, and still affects me whenever I see his depressed British face. All right. Now we know who's on your list. So yeah, really enjoyed this one. White Lightning, really good. You can tell in this movie why people fell in love with Burt Reynolds. He has so much charisma in this film that you can't help but just like want him to succeed. You just like, he smiles and you're just like, little glint in his eye, you know, you get it. You know, you watch White Lightning and you get Burt Reynolds. It's interesting because White Lightning is one of those movies that it was part of a very specific genre of films, sort of like Last American Hero, that just doesn't really exist anymore, where it's like Southern men driving fast cars, trying to beat the law. I kind of wonder, and this is just a hypothesis on my part, but I kind of wonder if maybe Dukes of Hazzard was basically the last like part of that genre, like the tail end of it, because there were a lot of movies that were made in that world. And then I guess the movies started to sort of wane and become unpopular. And then Dukes of Hazzard came on TV and that had its moment in the sun. And then that waned and became unpopular. And then they just kind of like stopped doing that genre altogether. Like that world just doesn't exist anymore. It kind of existed very specifically in like the very late 60s to like the early to mid 80s. And then you just don't have any movies anymore about Southern, you know, mountain folk running shine and trying to beat the law, basically. This film is pretty lean and mean. I think that's one of the reasons that I enjoyed it. It's a little over an hour and a half, and it just gives you exactly what you need to like really enjoy the story. There's regular car chases and things like that. There's one where I believe it's the first time that Burt Reynolds' character is running shine for Roy Boone. And, you know, all of the car chases in them are pretty dynamic, directed by Hal Needham, by the way. But in this particular one, there's a point where he jumps the car off of a dock and onto a barge. And I literally laughed out loud. I was laughing so hard at that because it's kind of ridiculous, but at the same time, it feels like something that exactly like the kind of thing that would happen in a Burt Reynolds movie. And it's very well executed. So, you know, you wouldn't expect any less, I guess, from him. But the one thing that I thought was super weird about White Lightning is that everybody in this film hates hippies. They're always talking about how horrible hippies are, but literally the worst thing that any of the hippies do in this movie is demonstrate against injustice or protest against injustice. And the other thing is they sit at a table in a diner and talk with each other. I mean, literally that's it. Like that's the worst thing that any of them are doing. And I think the film may have like an underlying message of like, hey, these kids really aren't as bad as you think they are. It's actually really like the corrupt police that are the a-holes, But at the same time, it's like, I don't want to, you know, that's a very like thin line that I'm trying to pull out of it, you know. The reason that I lean that way is just because of the fact that like Burt Reynolds knows that his brother got, you know, mixed in with this group of people. You can tell that he kind of blames them in a way for his death, even though the corrupt sheriff is the one that very obviously killed him. But when he actually confronts them and realizes that they're just a bunch of students that are, you know, living their lives, it's like he just kind of lets it go, you know, as far as like him blaming them in his head. So that was the weirdest part about it, was everybody's like, oh, hippies, I hate hippies, hippies suck. And it's like, they don't do anything bad in this movie. It's like, if you're going to have all this talk about how much hippies suck, it's like, at least have them do something bad, you know, something more than just existing. So, but yeah, I loved White Lightning. I think that a lot of people in the 70s loved that sort of genre of film. Like Burt Reynolds drives cars fast, you know. It's like you've got White Lightning. I think there was one that's named after his character in the film, Gator. And then you've got like Cannonball Run and like all the sequels to all those movies. So yeah, people definitely like watching Burt Reynolds drive cars really fast in the South. That should be like its own genre. You know, it's like action, drama, thriller, Burt Reynolds driving cars really fast in the South. So would I recommend White Lightning? Sure, absolutely. Like, I think it's a great film. I loved hearing the origins of that one song from Kill Bill. Like, you can tell that that's where Tarantino, you know, snatched it from, was White Lightning. It was so funny when the character that Matt Clark plays takes Burt Reynolds' character to meet Rebel Roy for the first time, because Rebel Roy keeps saying, "Hey dude, dude, hey dude, dude." And like, it was hilarious. Like, I was laughing so hard because that's such a like Southern thing to just like call everybody dude, you know? It's like, I remember like literally when I was a kid, I remember like older people would just, they wouldn't even bother like learning your name. They just had like a generic name that they would call you, something like dude. And then I realized that like the character that Matt Clark plays, his name is Dude. So that's why Rebel Roy kept calling him Dude, because that's his name, Dude. But nevertheless, it was really funny to me because I remember growing up around like older people that would be, you know, say things like, "Hey guy," you know, guy. It just pick a generic word, a generic name to call you. And that's anybody whose name they couldn't remember. It'd be a, "Hey guy, hey dude," you know? So that made me laugh a lot. But yeah, I would recommend White Lightning. It was really good. Next up on your list is number 91. It's the Alex Cox Western Walker. This is one I have mixed feelings about. I have yet to see an Alex Cox film that I've really liked, but it does have Ed Harris in it, and I like Ed Harris, so we'll see. All right, Frank, that's it. Anybody else who's watching, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.